Perfect. So one question I wanted to ask, obviously I've done obviously a little bit of research behind yourself, and I see you were a Mr. America, Mr.
Yeah.
Universe, and you're also an IFBB Pro as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah.
With obviously training, it takes principle. There's obviously delayed gratification involved, and a lot of just hard work and resilience, especially to get to a level of an IFBB Pro as well. How have you used that mindset of training in terms of your now chiropractic work life?
Well, so I mean, the old any type of gym principle is great, right? So you understand the delayed gratification part of it, like you just
Yeah.
do it. But also another thing of training and chiropractic that went through is you want to find something where the act of doing it is the reward. So that like so if I'm working out to have 19-inch arms or to look a certain way, and I get on the scale every day and I'm looking in the mirror every day, it's going to get very frustrating. But if I do have a goal of looking like something, or I do have a goal of having a great practice that's a good career, you want to get it to the point where the act of doing it is the reward. So the reward isn't the millions in the bank and having a certain number. The reward isn't having a six pack. And like it's the reward comes from the act of doing it. And the goals are achieved by just staying consistent of loving what you do, right? So if I love helping people and spreading the word and educating people, eventually, it's going to turn great. If I'm exercising and eating correctly because I love the journey, I like the process of it. And when I exercise, that's the reward. I get to do what I like to do, or right. If I look at it that way, then eventually you're going to have a body that you want, or you're going to have the health that you like. So I started noticing like nothing beats doing something where the act of doing it is the reward. Like, so for podcast, we're doing the interview right now. So for me, you know, this, like, like doing this, I have more energy at the end of it, right? Like when you do
Right.
it, you have more energy at the end of it. I could forget to eat. I feel in a higher state vibration, right? So like this is something when you're doing something, your spirit's aligned with it, you come out better. So the reward of this podcast is the act of doing the podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if you ask me, hey, I don't want to interrupt your day, like you're telling me that, I'm like, dude, no, you don't understand. Like this is the highlight of my day.
Amazing. I
Now,
love that.
this might not make $1 million for me, but my fulfillment and my significance and just my alignment with way more important. Like, you know what I mean? So you start to realize like what makes me feel good. And it's like those things that make you feel good, you're spiritually aligned with. So like for me, training, so there was a discipline there, but it was but I had to get in my mind the act of doing the thing was the reward. So whether it took 3 years to get to this goal you had, or 10 years or 18 years, it didn't matter because you were being rewarded daily. And I turned Mr. America was 21, but I turned IFBB Pro at 36. Now I want to explain the reason why I did it. So I always want to tell you the ups and downs of practice so you don't get caught
Please
into
do.
it or you're aware of it. So remember I said as a spiritual being in the universe we have to evolve and grow, right?
Absolutely.
So I peaked at this practice and it was blessed. Yeah, making a lot of money, good, a lot of volume, but it started coming down. So I felt I wasn't growing in an area anymore. So a lot of times I see men, because I work with a lot of men and stuff. So, but this is my experience. I've seen a lot of men I consult that have very successful companies. Why do they go into, or even celebrities? You see celebrities who cheats on their wife, like Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan, and like why would these very disciplined, successful Kobe Bryant, name all your heroes in
Yeah.
America, they had some type of scandal. Why the hell would they put themselves at such a risk? Jeff Bezos, here, like take half my money to it. Like what right?
Yeah. What's going on? Yeah.
Because when we feel we're not growing or evolving anymore, we're going to tend to go towards things where we feel that we're winning, growing, or expanding somewhere. So I see men, they tend to go into pornography, they tend to go in sex, they go into, or they numb it, or they're facing that they're not growing, they're not being set. So they're going to go into drugs, alcohol, sex, porn, cheating, because let's face it, when you're cheating, it's exciting. Like you're hiding stuff. There's something exciting about it. That's what it is. So they start going again because they're not being fulfilled today. They're not growing, expanding, or evolving as a spiritual being. So they start distracting and getting in trouble. Because you're like, these are the most disciplined people in the world. You could talk about Jordan and Kobe and Jeff Bezos. Like I don't care about these, like they say, well, they're human. No, no, no. We got to understand why they do something so destructive. It's because it's like they're not feeling fulfilled, they're not growing. So for me, instead of going into cheating on my wife at the time and going to alcohol and drugs and porn, I felt, well, you know what I'll do? I'll get back into bodybuilding. Because
Nice.
bodybuilding, right? I was probably like 170 and lean. I'm like, well, hey, let me see if I still got it. So to me, I went into bodybuilding not because I wanted to be a pro. It's because shit, I needed something that I could feel that I'm what winning at, and I'm growing literally and evolving at. So
Yes.
when I got into working on my body, I had control to change it, and so that was now something because I didn't feel I was growing in chiropractic anymore, that I had to put my energy into something where I felt I was growing, even though, like growing, expanding, evolving, and winning
Mm.
again. And so that's the reason why I did it. And yes, I'm very grateful. I went in, I turned pro, I hit some dreams and goals, but I mean, we got to know, like, I want you to understand that the root of it wasn't health. The root of it wasn't to look at, the root was like, I need to win in something again. I need to feel like I'm winning in something again. And a lot of times, like, that gets us in trouble. That gets us into distraction. If we're not winning, and or whatever we put winning, our definition of winning on,
Mm.
then we tend to find distractions to just take our mind off that we're not progressing in some area, and or we start to numb it with drugs, alcohol, pornography, cheating, just thinking like, oh, these are the reason why, or gambling. So instead of going that way, I put my efforts into something that was the least destructive, which was going back into bodybuilding. So yes, I
Mm.
hit the pro, but we got to understand, like, the reason why I did it was because it's something that the act of doing it becomes a reward. I have control over it, and like I can make changes. Like there's something knowing that like I have control over that. So that's why I got back into it at 36 and got my pro card. And so the discipline was there, but so the discipline was there, but also, there's motivations behind it. It's something that I could feel like, I'm winning again. Like I wanted to win
It's,
again because I feel like my practice was going down, and I would have loved to have shit today. I would have loved to have a 1500, like 1500. When you're at 2800 a week and you go down to
yeah.
1500 a week, you lost 1200 visits a week. That's like for some people, like six practices, right?
Yeah.
But see, it's all perception. So here I think I'm a fucking failure. Like looking back now, like, you know what I mean? Like it's just a
Yeah. Yeah.
perceptual thing. I think I'm failing miserably. I still have amazing practice. So my perception of it is what actually started to destroy it. Is because I'm taking it for granted. I'm not grateful. I'm not whatever it's like, because I feel like I'm failing. And so I put my energy into something else where I could feel I could win. And I did win. It's not, I became the best one of the top in the world of that as well. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's just knowing yourself. That's where self-awareness is huge. It's knowing that what makes you tick and be able to catch yourself. Or this is why I really think having a good group of friends or coaches even that could look at you and call you out on stuff. Be like, hey man, um, going from 2,800 a week to 1,500 a week or 12, it's not, you're not failing.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, because to you it does feel that way. I mean, imagine you were hitting a certain level and in the same thing now it's half. It's like you feel like half a person because I put so much of my significance and my identity in the wrong things.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
so that's why I reached, I figure, like, I had no desire to cheat on my wife at the time or get into all these other things, but I'm like, I need something though. I need something
Yeah.
to
To get
feel like
back.
I'm growing again. So that's why I got into that again. Yep.
Awesome. I love that. And when you found that when you got back into bodybuilding, and did you then notice because you had this control over this other part of your life, did you then see a change in your practice?
Oh, it went down further because I
Right.
enjoyed bodybuilding. It really, I enjoyed that. That was new. It was exciting. It was the mistress, dude. Right? Right. I mean, like, let's face it,
Sure.
like, it's new and exciting. It's new car smell, right? So,
Of course. Yeah. Nice.
and I got better results. I got quicker results, instantaneous results, and I got better feedback. Sure. So I started like, so that's where my attention started to wander over there. So when you take your energy away from something, things grow where energy flows. So I started going over here. So because it was more rewarding for me, I was better. I was becoming better at it. I was getting more fulfilled by it. It's just, again, it was my
Absolutely.
own bullshit. And then I started looking at other businesses. I got into stem cells. I got into like multiple streams of income, which I think is very important. What are you going to do with the money you have? I had multiple streams of income coming in, and that was exciting. I was winning. I felt like I was winning. It was just perceptual, because I was just feeling bored of chiropractic. And so when you start to feel bored or so like that, I got off purpose basically. I stopped doing the things that I did to stay focused. And so, no one's immune of it all, but like, you're going to find out there's a recipe that makes you successful. It's not sexy. It's very boring. It's mundane. It's, it's gray sweatpants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's the key. It's not up and down. It's not emotional. It's the basics. Any pro athlete, they're like, what makes someone a good pro is the one who's really good at the basics. I mean, if you're good at the basics, and I know, there's that part of you that wants something new and exciting, but that could change. And during that little bit of time, it could feel exciting, but then you come back to a little bit of reality, going, shit. I don't regret anything, but man, if I just sort of stuck to the basics and you know what? Sometimes you got to go through that contrast to be like, wow, the basics and the monotony of having a nice, stable practice was worth it, versus having this up and down and excitement here and there. It's like, so sometimes I think you got to go through things in life to have contrast to be able to appreciate certain things, whether it be people, practice, stuff like that. So here I am at 46, somewhere where, okay, let's get back to the basics and let's start cranking this thing up again. So,
I like
yeah,
that.
yeah, I think life gives you these things to appreciate it, man. And
No,
yeah,
absolutely.
so I think that's what happened. But I don't think anybody's watching, like, it's just perception. Like, if you could find I really think, like, if you'd find other things that you could invest in and build multiple streams, whether it be real estate, like, I think everybody, because the fact is, as a chiropractor, you can't adjust people your whole life. I mean, you can, but it's like there's going to come a point where, like, you want to be able to have other sources of income producing for you.
Absolutely.
So whether it's real estate, whether it's other businesses and stuff you could do that you enjoy, I mean, you have a good 10 other sources of income, and they could be base hits, doubles, triples, singles. They don't have to be home
Mm.
runs, little things, rentals here and there. I think it's very beneficial and then chiropractic could be something more that you love to do. So as long as you can keep it as something that you loving, and it's an act of service, I think it's something that's going to be very beneficial to you. But I just took it a little too extreme and did some crazy stuff.
I got you. Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, we can get into the crazy stuff maybe at some other point. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, with one of the questions I wanted to ask you about was the actually stem cells.
Yeah.
How did you get into that?
Well, I had a buddy of mine that used to be a chiropractor, and he was crushing it. And so here in the States, his clinics were doing about 800,000 a month. I was like, holy shit. I think my most I
Wow.
ever did was 300,000 cash,
Mm.
like one month. And so I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And it was a model. He would go someplace, he would speak. At the end of the talk, here's the price. So everybody who came in, they already knew the price. So they were already like justify the price. There was no like, here it is. This is what it does. This is here's the price.
Mm.
And it's 80. So they would pay the 80 to come in. They already knew the price. So basically, everybody who's coming in, they already justified the price. I was like,
Yeah.
and then it was speaking, and that's something I enjoy doing. I'm best. That's what I'm way better speaker than an adjuster, and or I enjoy it more. And so that really did really well. And then the FDA overnight said, because chiropractors and other people in the
Ah,
States, because they were marketing stem cells help whatever symptom.
mm.
And of course, they classify a drug as what? Something that helps a symptom. So like, hey, stem cells are not something for like growth factors. I think that's classified as a drug. So we're going to make it a gray area, and we're going to see if we could classify Wharton's jelly or umbilical cord tissue as a drug. Right? Because the way we market it, hey,
Yeah.
stem cells help. You got knee pain, you got this pain. Oh, okay. So the orthopedics are like, okay, you're saying like your chiropractor's doing stem cells down the road for knee pain. I'm an orthopedic. That's my thing. So you guys are claiming, you're basically saying it's a drug because it's curing a symptom. Okay. So Yeah, they squashed that, and some are still doing it, but it's gray area. So I'd never stay in gray area because like I don't want because it's payback. You know, they'll let you go and they'll come back, and so that was good, and that went away. So again, I mean, you could try other factors in your practice, but I've realized how fast it goes away. I mean, or it could go away.
Yeah.
I mean, chiropractic is not going to go anywhere, guys. You can't. It's can't go in. You know what I mean. It will never go anywhere. Like stem cells could come and go. Insurance, like in the States, we have insurance that could come and go. Um, Nutrition is nutrition. You know, weight loss
No,
is weight
so
loss. But in the States, we have a lot. We had a lot of weight loss gimmicky things. Not gimmicks, but um, not sustainable. Like crash diets with the HCG. You know, like we had. There was like I'm saying. There's a fads
there is a lot, yeah.
and not saying nutrition is a fad, but like a lot of times like weight loss fads come and go, and like there was things that came and go, and they were but I'm not saying not to get into like it was great, but knowing that like I heard Patrick Bet David, he's a good guy here, very successful, and he said something, but he didn't say in a negative term. He's like, nothing lasts forever, and it sounds like a negative statement, but he didn't. He's like, no, I don't mean it in a negative way. It's like everything has a cycle. So there's just like an athlete. You're not like Michael, like you're not a like or a football player. Like they have a season of their life that
Yeah,
it's amazing, and then they retire. So like nothing lasts forever.
no,
It has its ups and it has its down in business, especially. So when things are good, like he goes, when things are good, double down. Don't be the like when things are good, don't be spreading it. Like don't be like living left. Like when things are good,
agree.
shut up, cut your expenses, and go as hard as you can. Because
Absolutely.
someday they won't be as good. And then you're like, I'm so glad I wasn't because when things are good, you're like, you get loose, you're spending more, you're doing this. It's like, no, like when things are great, you
Mm.
buckle down, you cut your spending, and you just
Keep
do it.
going.
Because when that era ends for whatever reason, then you're gonna be glad you did. So his thing was like, no, when things are good, you go hard, you go even harder.
Even
Knowing
harder.
that, hey, this could be 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, but there's gonna come a time where it's not going to be as productive and beneficial as it used to be, right? But chiropractic, it's across the board. Like there's no like, oh, chiropractic, it's a good season for chiro. It's no like that's always straight across the board. If you're into nutrition, it's always straight across the board. Weight loss across the board, fertility across the board, hormones across the board. But like you'll see, there's these little fads that come and go. You just have to have the mindset. I didn't have the mindset. Like they just have the mindset like, hey, listen, we're gonna get in. We're gonna get in. We're gonna get it when it's good. But we know I'm not gonna put all my eggs in this basket because if this stops or it's then I'm happy. It stopped. It's good. That was a good run. So I
Yeah,
really think like when you had on top of anything you do outside of chiropractic, understand that it's going to have a run, right? And so that's good. But when you're running and it's peaking, like hammer it as hard as you can. And then when it starts going down, you feel okay, great. We knew it was going to happen. But chiro is always your base, and you'll never have to worry about it, right?
no,
And I think that's what I did. I'd put my eggs, I would throw them in other baskets, and then when the basket kind of like had a hole in it and I went back to my original love, right? The Cairo, that you're like, wow, did we just like we took a lot of energy and focus and funds out of the so we had to now rebuild
got
versus
you.
like always keeping your main source, your main engine going and knowing that hey, the new stuff that comes in, great, get a teams in place, go at it hard, but like those like the stem cells came and go. Then I brought it to Mexico, right? Because now in Mexico you could do things that the states wouldn't allow and that was good as well. And but then you're in a different country and has different things. So, but that also had its ups and downs. Now, all those things I did outside of Cairo, I'm putting my focus on all those things. And now you come back to a chiropractic practice that is it's not profitable, right? So
Not the
it's like
same.
it's not
Yeah,
and then you come with scare and then there's scarcity. It's
there
tough to
is. Yeah,
practice in a practice where overhead's high and you're taking out of your savings. So it's like that's why like wow, now I'm going back to that. Now I'm rebuilding what needs to be done. So it just but I think all these things in life, there's no right or wrong here. I'm just saying like you'll be tempted to do different things and I think you should do different things, but always realize, okay, we're about to do this. But if we're going to do this, I need to make sure that my practice is going to be at the same, or I have a team that's still going to make it grow. So if this goes away, I'm back into not like this goes away and I got to go to an abandoned building again and rebuild it. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit tough. But so I'm just saying, like, these things are great, but I'm telling you, if I wish I could have done something better before I jumped in, I would have had people and teams in place to assure it. And if I couldn't get that team in place, no matter how tempting stem cells, whatever would have been, I would have made the thing until I could get my office performing at the same or more. I would have moved into something else. I wish I would have
Makes
done that
sense.
because then I know that then instead because I sometimes let's say that one month I made the 200,000 a month, let's say
Mm.
in Cairo. Then I said, well, if I add this nutrition or blood work testing here, I have two other businesses now that 200,000 could go to 300, right?
Yeah.
But I found out I made 200, then I added all these other things and it still made the same.
Oh.
Like the more like it didn't do anything more because what
Yeah.
happened is our energies just got dispersed.
What's,
So the practice was going down. I was making here, but it all came out to be the same.
yeah.
So I just think not, but I think where I failed to do it, which and I think it's doable, is like always know, like if I'm going to add something to the plate, I need to make sure that if I'm taking my energy out, it needs to be replaced with a team or people that could keep that same momentum going, the same or more. Then that'll be the litmus test of now I can move and bring something else in. So I think that's where I made a mistake.
Yeah. I like that. I think showing vulnerability and coming and expressing your mistakes and letting people know where you went wrong is such an important lesson.
Yeah,
And it allows other people to learn from that as well. So those same mistakes
yeah,
aren't then repeated in the future, and we can actually make bigger leaps and we can make better decisions
yeah.
and inevitably help more people and grow a successful
Yeah,
practice.
yeah, Jack, like, because it's like saying, like, no, I want you guys to have a bunch of other things going on. But it's like, okay, but if one of you guys could remember, okay, listen, I know I want to jump and I know you're impatient, but it's like, hey, maybe if I just take this extra month and maybe get the staff in, or I hire another person to really solidify this part before I leapt, I made a leap before I sustained, I leapt before I jumped a little bit too, because I get excited, right? So I want to,
Yeah,
I'm
totally.
impatient, but I realize like I think everybody in here, you could do it right. You get multiple clinics, you have multiple things going on. I just think just that one thing alone going, okay, like you can't get emotional about it. Be like, okay, before I make this leap, is my house in order here? Okay,
Mm.
my house is in order here. I made another hire. Good, we're good. Okay, now like that's the goal. Now things are profiting, everything's great. Now I can now shift some energy here to help build this. But I think everything I told you about that I made a mistake on is not wrong. It's actually the thing I want everybody to do. I think I went about it the wrong way. Where I just should have took an extra couple weeks to be like, let me
Yeah,
get this in order. Okay, let me put systems in place. Now I can move here. Okay, let's build this, get this in order. And knowing like if one dropped out, I wasn't like having to, pick
yeah,
something else again. So I really think everybody on this line should have multiple streams for sure. I think that's the greatest way to wealth they could have is just, multiple streams of income. But I don't want anybody to think that I only could have one thing and I only could do one thing right. No, you could do it all right. I just think it was my perception where I just jumped early. I was a little lazy and I didn't get, either I didn't seek the right coaching or the right advice to get
sure.
my current things that were doing well strong and keep them strong, even when I wasn't even a part of it.
That's great. Well, thank you for sharing that. I
Yeah.
really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to wrap it up, unfortunately,
Sure.
because I've got some patience in a bit. Um, but I just want to say thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it, and I've no doubt that everyone who listens will definitely learn from you because you
Yeah.
have a wealth of experience. So, thank you so much for that.
Awesome.
Just before,
Appreciate you, bud.
I was going to say, just before we finish up, if people want to get in contact with you or follow you on social media, what's the best place to get to you?
Instagram will be the best.
Cool.
Just at Dr. Zano. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's perfect. If you want to
great.
keep
Yeah,
that conversation going, yeah, I answer all my DMs and stuff. So
awesome. That's great. I really appreciate it. I'll be sure to put that in the description, and when it's ready to go, I can send you over the link and
yeah,
go from there.
Please do, but I
Perfect.
appreciate it.
Awesome. No
All right,
worries.
bud.
Thank you.
All right, thanks,
Enjoy the
guys.
rest of your day, and we'll speak soon.
All right, God bless,
Cool.
guys. Bye bye.
Take care.